My name is Georgette and I'm nurse case manager and I work with Systematic. Today we're going to talk about immunity and retesting the COVID-19 positive. To retest or not to retest, that is the question. We're grappling with this idea about immunity and retesting after being positive, so we're going to address a few things. We'll start with the immune system response. The body's immune system has more than one way to protect itself from viruses that it has already encountered. So there are two types of antibodies. We have B cells, which are the immediate response to infection, and the other types is T cells that save the information about the infection, and then it waits for it. If you get reinfected again, then it will be ready to fight the infection. B cells can detect many infectious agents and target them directly. As the infection progresses, the T cells cause the B cells to be more specific about fighting infection, in this case coronavirus. So this creates a memory bank for the T cells to be able to be deployed when the time comes. B cells are also divided into two types. One type is deployed at the beginning and during the infection, and then the other type is deployed at the end or after the infection. If a person is positive for coronavirus, they could be at the beginning or they could be at the end of the infection. But so far, immunity for coronavirus lasts at least 8 weeks, but as we progress and we get more information about the virus, it might change. Testing, this is a big issue that we're dealing with. So there are two types of tests for COVID-19. One is called the polymerase chain reaction test, which is PCR, where they take the cotton swab and insert it into your nose. And this looks for active genetic material for the COVID-19, meaning that they're looking for something that is still present. So if it's found, then you are positive for the coronavirus. The antigen test is used to detect proteins from the specimen, which is collected the same way, but with the cotton swab in your nose. But this is looking for a protein, so it could be at the beginning or at the end of the infection. This takes 15 minutes to process and deliver results, and it is 100% foolproof. The PCR test takes at least 24 hours to get results, but the only reason why we're backed up with 2-3 days or up to a week is because a lot of these specimens are sent to specific labs to increase their accuracy. Now, retesting is where we're having to grapple with a lot of things. Retesting after 14 days of being in quarantine will almost always come up positive. This makes retesting troublesome for a lot of employers because some of them require their employees to test negative before returning to work. The Arkansas Department of Health will ask you to quarantine 10 days after each retest that is positive. So it confuses a lot of people when they're asymptomatic and they went and retested and they still have to be in quarantine. Retesting works best when the antigen test is done to determine what type of antibodies you have and what stage of infection that you're in. But this is tricky because it requires people to know exactly what test they're looking for. So basically, they have to know what center provides the antigen test and they have to ask for it, which a lot of people don't know the difference, so that makes it a lot tricky. Primary care providers generally decide if a person needs to retest because that's what we're dealing with right now. It's a lot of people are going to their primary care providers and they monitor their symptoms as well as Department of Health. And if the doctor says, you know what, maybe we should retest, it's at their discretion. The only other part and retesting will be necessary is if a person has recovered from it and they come back with the same symptoms, gone back to work, gone back to life, and they develop symptoms again. That will be a good reason to also retest. Systematic is dedicated to educating workers and our partners to improve understanding of the disease process of COVID-19 and return to work outcomes. The education we provide also includes self-care and the ongoing changes with pandemic recommendation. The injured workers are empowered to return to work by encouraging communication with their primary care providers and their employers.